Hi everyone! Today we are back for another video, which is a topic that has been long overdue because for those who follow me on Twitter, I did say a while ago we would be unpacking the most dangerous synastry aspect. I'm not sure I said it as explicitly, but I did tease it many times. First thing first, before we dive into that topic, I want to send love and prayers to all of the women who are victims of abuse and stuck in abusive relationships. I sincerely hope you will be freed from the abuse soon and be given justice. For those of you who have been hip to the news in the last 24 hours, a video of Diddy violently beating and kicking Cassie in a hotel has surfaced, which has sparked another conversation about relationships that involve abuse online, and this is why we are here now. The fact of the matter is that in the past 2-3 years, every time there has been a case of domestic violence between celebrities surfacing in the media, I investigated the synastry dynamics of all celebrities involved, and there was one and only synastry aspect that never failed to show up: Moon Mars aspects. Before I give you examples, because trust me, there are many, I want to highlight that every time I made these investigations, even the first time, I knew exactly what to look for and knew with conviction that I would find a Moon Mars aspect in their synastries. These investigations started because at some point I was seeing the girls start to praise Moon Mars synastry as the best synastry aspect one can have with their lover because of the intense arousal it creates, the sex drive boost, etc., etc. And it was rather concerning to me that Moon Mars was all the girls could think of, as if Mars wasn't the god of war and violence, strongly relationship averse to the point of sabotaging them actively, as we previously discussed in one of my most recent videos. It is evident that Mars is a violence booster. And when I saw these conversations, I immediately realized a conversation was needed in order for everyone to regroup, and that I needed to conduct a proper study to show proof. At the time, we were also in the midst of the hard debt scandal, so it was very easy to establish my first target. And as I said, I knew exactly what to look for. And as you guessed it, I found it. Looking at Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's synastry, I found that Amber's Mars was sitting right on top of Johnny's moon. And honestly, everything immediately made perfect sense. The fact of the matter is that the moon, beyond pertaining to our emotions, is a planet that makes us indulge in what we feel and will often make us tempted to go against the rules in order to satisfy our primal instincts and please our emotions. As I previously highlighted, Mars promotes violence, and Moon and Mars mixed together in synastry specifically is low-key a recipe for a disaster, because beyond sex drive, it increases irritability, and the Moon makes it even more of an urge to completely let oneself be taken over by their violent impulses. You feel violence, you want to act on it. Moon is emotions, Mars is action. Together, they bring drive and promote action over inhibition. Pretty interesting in a natal chart, but rather dangerous as a synastry aspect. And as a matter of fact, it can also get dangerous, in a natal chart, but it's much better to have it in natal than to have it in synastry. Anyways, back to the main topic. So, action over inhibition means that the need to become violent will hardly be successfully repressed with such energies at play. Later, old tea surfaced about Ashanti and Irv Gotti, which was Ashanti's producer, and definitely took advantage of his position to coerce her into engaging sexually with him in order to advance her career. Yes, she ended up being infatuated at some point, which was a protection mechanism, especially when she said herself her career started progressing only after she had started sleeping with Irv, and many female celebs also came forward about the fact a lot of men will block their professional advancement as an artist if they refuse to sleep with them. So, as I was saying, when the old tea surfaced because Irv Gotti decided to play kiss and tell, trying to ruin Ashanti's reputation years after the fact, I looked up Ashanti and Irv's Synastry and noticed Ashanti's Mars was trying Irv Gotti's moon. On a side note, we love to see that Irv's attempt to humiliate and further abuse Ashanti failed, since it simply put Ashanti back on the radar and that she reunited with Nelly afterwards, which she was in love with back in the day, and they are now expecting a child together. Love wins. You'll also note that Nelly and Ashanti have no Moon Mars synastry, simply a Moon Moon opposition, but oppositions can also be bringers of equilibrium and stability rather than being conflicting aspects. Moon Moon oppositions call for emotional maturity and work wonderfully when everyone does the work to show up with the required maturity. I also had to investigate Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez when the trial that took place because Tory shot Megan started. You guessed it, I found a Moon Mars aspect again, with Megan having her moon forming a square with Taurus Mars. Moving on to Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, as in the past 2 years, we've also seen news about their divorce, which unfortunately revealed Angelina, as well as her kids, have been facing violence at the hands of Brad Pitt. It turns out Angelina's moon is squaring Brad's Mars. Here are a few other celebrity couples whose relationship involves a high toxicity and abuse. For some, it's only psychological, no physical violence proven at least yet, but still it counts because psychological violence matters as well. So, as I was saying, we have Will and Jada, FKA Twigs and Shia LaBeouf, Angela White, aka Black China, and Rob Kardashian, Madonna and Sean Penn, even other people whose aspect I won't dive into, like Halle Berry and Wesley Snipes, Charlie Sheen and Brooke Mueller, O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown. The list could go on. Last but not least, let's take a brief look at one of the major reasons why we are here today, Cassie and P. Diddy. Cassie's moon is trine P. Diddy's Mars, while her Mars is trine P. Diddy's moon, so we have Moon Mars contacts going both ways. I also had to check Kim Porter's synastry with P. Diddy, as she was his ex-wife, and there have also been several reports of P. Diddy abusing her, and found Kim's moon was opposite Diddy's Mars, and that her Mars was sextile Diddy's moon, creating Moon-Mars dynamics on both ends here as well. Something interesting was to look at P. Diddy's synastry with rapper and entertainer Carisha, which seems to have gotten the most out of him in the best way possible and doesn't have any claim of domestic violence with him so far. Because I noted that Carisha does not have any Moon Mars synastry with P. Diddy. They do have a Mars-Mars conjunction though, which I think contributed to them doing rather beneficial businesses together, like the show Carisha Please, for instance. They also have a Moon-Moon opposition, I think, which we already saw can definitely be a good synastry aspect and promote emotional stability within the relationship. And just so we are clear, abuse is abuse no matter what. These synastry aspects we have looked at through all of those celebrity couples do not validate domestic violence in any way or form. It will always be an abomination and a crime. This study simply highlights that Moon Mars aspects create an inhibition that does not promote self-control. And just like drug addicts, for instance, can greatly struggle to control themselves and not relapse, succumbing to their impulses, Moon Mars energy makes it easier for people to not control themselves and let their impulses take over. Unfortunately, we are only human, and to be able to control one's vices is often really hard. In most cases, people only harm themselves, but this can absolutely apply in situations that will result in others being harmed, like domestic violence. For this reason, I highly recommend to avoid this synastry. Women for their own safety and men as well, simply because once you have fallen into a vice, it is most likely going to become a habit. And society also being a structure that tends to enable men's violence on their female counterparts, it is just better to avoid putting yourself in a situation in which you risk indulging in violence. I did say we are only human, but it is still our very own responsibility to control ourselves. Just like alcoholics have the duty of doing their best to keep alcohol away from them, as a man, it is your duty to remove yourself from situations that provoke such impulses. Planetary energies influence us beyond our conscious. You may not know yet you are swimming in waters that are imbued with Moon Mars Synastry energy, but if you feel such urges, it is your job to step away. Don't bite the forbidden fruit. The synastry explains chemistry and impulses, but it never justifies choices you make in response to those energies when these choices are criminal. A long disclaimer, I know, but absolutely necessary. Before we end this, I just want to say if you have this and your relationship has been working well and most importantly, free of red flags that point towards abuse, do not fret. There are very rare occasions in which such synastry can be harmless. This most likely would be the case for women, especially whose fifth house is Mars ruled. But even then, you really have to pay attention to what Mars is doing in both charts. A Mars-Saturn aspect will be more interesting in that case. It will make things more kinky, for instance, all in a controlled way, which is preferable to the Moon-Mars unbound energy that easily results in violence and chaos, as we saw. I would have finished on a lighter note with synastry aspects that do promote intense sexual chemistry and favor harmonious relationships overall. But this is getting a bit long now, so I will probably have to make another video in which we will take the time to look at those. Thank you for watching this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the watch, and don't forget to subscribe as well and to turn the notifications on so that you don't miss out on my future uploads. You can also support my work by subscribing to my Patreon and get into other exclusive posts and videos I have shared on there only. Alright, I'll see you all soon. Bye!